Hi, this is Dr. KImberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Chella Diaz. Chella, for over 10 years, has been on her spiritual journey. She has been good with money since the age of 9. She has worked with many coaches and mentors to allow her to integrate money and energy healing in one Tiffany Box. Welcome to the podcast, Chella.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. I am so delighted. I've been looking forward to our call.
Yes. So why don't we start out by you telling us a little bit about you, like where you grew up, where you started, how you got to where you are today.
I actually grew up in LA. And I lived within a 30-mile radius pretty much my whole life. So it was really interesting. It was really actually fun. I started in Venice, then we moved to Carson, and then out on my own, I lived in Culver City and Santa Monica, and all of that is within 30 miles. And then after my divorce, I went on my spiritual journey, and I actually moved to San Jose for a little bit, and then to Portland, Oregon, and now I'm in Orange County.
Okay. So, and when you started out, did you have a family or?
Very good. So yes, I was married for 17 years and I have 2 phenomenal sons, adult sons now. So they're on their own.
Yeah.
Which allowed me to, to be able to move around because, you don't have, when you have little kids, it's more difficult to be able to do that. But yeah, so they're growing and they're on their own.
Yes. And what part did they have in your journey?
Huge part actually, because I had a good childhood, but it was very strict childhood. It was a kind of is a household where kids don't have a voice, right? Mm-hmm. Children are meant to be seen, not heard, type of deal. So when my kids came about, I wanted them to grow up differently than I did. So by giving them the choice to speak or to share or to not speak, if that's what they chose, right, is by giving them choices and just how they see things, right? Because then when they're little, everything is new to them and how they see it. So I always credit my sons for helping me grow up and become who I am today. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they learn, and if you look at kids, you can teach you so much. So I definitely say that they helped me grow up and become who I am today.
Yes. And when you started out in your career life, where did you start?
Good question. So initially I worked at a corporate office. I was a real estate underwriter, and I chose that particular career because it was very close to where I lived. And so for me, that was important, mm-hmm. right? If my kids needed, or if I needed to pick them up or drop them off, I was a very quick, just a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes away from them. So for me, that was important for me to be able to do that, and not to mention being able to pick them up or go out and have lunch with them. Mm-hmm. So I got to see and experience a lot of that. A lot of the parents used to think I was a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, wow.
Because one, I was able to be at the school during the day, right? And with them, I participated, huge PTA volunteer. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about this the other day, all of the different activities, fun activities that I got to do. Yeah. Right? So it was very close. I was a real estate underwriter for many years. And during that time, I was already, money has been something that's always been of interest to me since I was 9. Mm-hmm. But being there, right, I bought my first car when I was 17, my first house when I was 23. But now analyzing and reviewing tax returns took my learning, and I became even more curious. And I used to dig, right? So then I got to see, how do the wealthy choose to spend their money? Oh. And that's how the languaging around money, right? They don't put as much emphasis. So it was lots of fun. I did not know at the time, why I was learning so much about how people manage money, about how people, obviously, I could only see what was on paper, right? I couldn't really talk to them. Although a lot of times I did get to the opportunity to talk to the clients, but you get to see it on paper. So the emotion is out of it, right? So all you have is concrete evidence. So it was fascinating to be able to do that.
And that is interesting that you say that, because so many people have so much emotion around money to the point where it can either excite them or upset them, or, you make so much decisions around it based on all this emotion. And you were just looking at the numbers. And I know that the wealthier one gets, the more money you have to spend to not have to pay taxes and things like that. And so they're going out looking for places to spend money, where if you're on the other end of the spectrum, you're looking for places to save money and not spend money. And there's so much emotion around that. But you had the chance to just look at numbers. So it had no emotion to it. It had no, you weren't deciding things based on someone's emotions. You were only deciding, because you were deciding whether they could get the financing or not, right?
Correct.
So you were just deciding based on concrete numbers, no emotion around the money. So how did that affect your relationship with money?
Well, again, I've had a good relationship with money since I was 9. My dad still shares this story about me. My nieces and nephews just are like, oh, no, not that story. But, I was good with money. So I used to go to farmer's market. I used to go to the jar. We had a jar with money. I would get the money, and I would go get fruits and vegetables at the farmer's market, right? I remember specifically tomatoes, right? Because the tomato stands were so tall.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to the side to give my money to the vendor because I was too short to go over and hand the money over the him. I just knew money made sense. I knew the vendors had the best quality at the lowest price. And the story that my dad shares is that I always got enough money, right? No matter what my list was, no matter what I needed to get, I always knew how much money to get. There was times where, I didn't have any left over, but there was times where I had a couple of coins left over. But money just made sense to me, right? And my dad is very smart with money, right? So he definitely was that, but it was not a conversation. And this is what I want to change. It was not a conversation that you sit around and you talk about.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of people, and we don't talk about, in my opinion, we just don't talk about it. We should be talking about that at the same level as what's your favorite food.
Yes. And I know my family, we didn't talk about money. In fact, we definitely wouldn't share with extended family members how much we made or what, we just didn't talk about it. It was taboo.
Right. And I don't know that we really need to share exactly like how much money we made but what if we just have the conversation of where are we saving money? Where are we investing money? Because that's the one thing that when you see the tax returns from the wealthy, you get to see where they shop, right? Because I also got to see their credit cards. Right? But so you get to see where they shop, and the one thing, and how they don't carry balances, right? So right there, they're already saving money because they're not making the credit card companies rich.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So we can think about that, and where somebody else may be thinking, they could continue. So one of my favorite things to do when I do my workshops is get people to add up how much interest they paid in 3 months. Take 3 months, take all your credit cards. How much did you pay? And that's step 1. And step 2, what could you do with that money? So I like $1,200 a year. So let's say $100 a month, just for math purposes, the numbers. What could somebody do with that additional $100 if they were not paying it to the credit card? And this is just interest, right? We're not talking the balance and the payment. That's a whole different story. But if you just think about the interest, what could they do with that additional $100 a month? Where will they put that? how will they choose to spend that?
Yeah.
And that's the interesting, and we're going to talk about somebody that's in the media, right? So if we take one of the billionaires, right? They don't care that they wear the latest jeans or the latest shoes. And I'm not saying they won't, but that's not at the top of their list. Knowing the safety of knowing that they're having that income coming in every month or that money is in the account is satisfaction enough.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's it. It's about how you feel within yourself. Because I know I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of people spend money that they don't have to impress people that they don't like.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Right? And we do that. You know what I mean? I was just having this conversation yesterday at the phone store. And they were talking about, I was like, why do people go out and buy these purses, my ladies, they go out and they buy a purse because we can tell whose purse it is. I don't want anybody to know whose purse I have, right? I don't want them to know that I paid $50 or $20 or $300 or $1,600. 16 is about as high as I'm going to go. But why, what I mean? And I'm not saying that the purse is not but why are you choosing to spend your money there?
Yes.
Right? Could they do something with it? And it's okay to have it. I'm not saying don't have it. It's like, what's the reason behind it? Is it because your friend has it and you want to keep up? I know we're going to bring all the old cliches. Are you keeping up with the Jones, right?
Right.
Why are they choosing to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much psychology behind why, I would spend something and someone else would not spend on that. Something that I think, oh, that's just a ridiculous purchase. And someone else thinks it's like almost mandatory, like they have to have it.
And that's really, I could not have said it better myself, but it's also a perfect, because what I have found with my clients, if we take the same person, we take two people, but they both grew up in the same household. I'm not saying they're related, but they both grew up with listening or hearing. We don't have enough money to pay the utilities. Yes. And this is especially where it's cold, right? I live in California, so not having money to pay for utilities is no big deal because we don't get the freezing, right? But I'm talking about the person that grew up where it's cold, where it snows, and they don't have enough money to pay the heater, or they don't have enough money to buy groceries, or they don't have any money to buy holiday gifts, right? Both people grew up in the same household as adults. And so they heard the same conversation, but as adults, one of them chooses to go out and saves everything, right? They do the rent, they do minimal stuff, but they don't treat themselves to eating out. They don't treat themselves to a movie, to a concert, to that outfit. It's almost, they're saving so much that there's not much joy in their life.
Yes, no joy, because you're not even
enjoying it.
It sounds almost abusive. I mean, it almost sounds abusive.
A little bit, because you're going to the extreme, right? And you're depriving yourself. So when you deprive yourself of something, there's not joy. There's no happiness there.
Yes.
Okay. The other person, same story, same household, the other person goes out and spends everything. This is a person that lives paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. They spent every penny of it. So the same, growing up the same way, but they choose to go into different routes, right? Because they're choosing. So the person that's spending, saving, they're depriving themselves of joy. Yeah. But the person that's spending and they're going out to the dinners and they go to the shows and they do the whole thing, they buy the fancy cars, they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they're also depriving themselves because they're so busy, caught up in that I have to pay this, you know what I mean? So either way, so it's about bringing it together and having that balance.
Yes. Yes. And how do you do that?
Hey, good question. So perfect question. So, and I'm going to share my story because since I have been good with money since I was very young and I had a lot, let's say I reached millionaire status when I was in my 40s. But I also, and things just came together, right? Whether it was finding great deals, whether it was meeting people, you know what I mean? I got treated to, you know, different events where you were paying $500 a plate, right? So I just was surrounded with some amazing, amazing people. But I began to do a little guilt thing, right? So I started my spiritual journey, and I began to feel guilty that these things came easily for me, and that other people were having to struggle and work hard. And I'm not saying that I purposely did that. I could feel it. It was like, why can't I do it and other people can't? So I went through this whole thing, and then I lost everything. You know, a lot of different reasons, the market, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. Did not ask enough questions when I invested. So lots of lessons there. But then I went on my spiritual journey, and what I feel now is that and that's why I said I merged the having money and having a spiritual life. They don't have to be separate, right? So I released and let go of the guilt, because I believe we all have those same choices. We all can go out. Listen, I've been working with lots of mentors, lots of coaches, and one thing is, I am putting in the work, right? I am going out and seeking the experience. I'm going out and learning. And we all have that opportunity, right?
Yes, we do.
So once I let go of that, I was okay with, it's okay to have money and be spiritual, right? Because we all get taught, well, you know, you have to be spiritual. No, it's balancing. And this is why I love that you're doing this podcast, because I am the perfect example of it is possible to help people, and which I love and I enjoy, and make money with it.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And there's a lot of gurus out there, and there's a lot of experts, and, you know, and I know it's getting a little bit, I don't want to say we're talking about it too much. People say, well, if you find your passion, then the money will come. Yeah. And put the work into it. Right. Yeah. Because the one perfect example, if you love to garden, and this is the example that I've heard, okay, but how can you make money with it? If that's something you choose to do, or, and I just recently heard that one lady really enjoys canning fruit. Listen, she did a tutorial on how to do that, and she's making more money than she ever thought possible. Right? So it's not just about finding your passion, but how can you share it with the world?
And how you can share it.
And find that market, you know what I mean? Because it can't be done. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, I'm an overnight success, and it took me 10 years to get here.
10-year overnight success.
I'm a 10-year overnight success, right? And I'm proud of it, because along the way, I learned so much, right? And I believe it takes time, right? So for me, it was letting go of the guilt of, it comes very easily for me, you know, and I do. Everywhere I go, I win something, you know what I mean? I love contests, you know, and so I enter contests. If silent auctions, you don't want to get me into silent auction. You don't want to bid against me, though. Right? But I enjoy those, right? If I go in and I purchase a ticket, I constantly win. So it's about merging it, finding what that is. So I do a lot of mentoring around high school students and college students. And they all have, and this is kids that want to have an entrepreneur. I mean, they want to have a job, and then they want to do like a side something or other. And I always, you know, it's amazing, because when I go in, a lot of them don't really know what they want to do, but they know they want something. And I say, start with what you like, right? And test it out. You know, they're 17, 18 years old. Test it out, right? It doesn't have to be, you have to stick with this. You may have to test out a couple of different things. Maybe join somebody else. Yeah. But it was interesting, because a lot of them wanted to do food of some sort. Wow. I said, great. Now you can join in with somebody that wants to do like a lemonade. You know, again, this is 17-year-olds, right? A lemonade of some sort. You go to the park where there's sports activities happening, and you test it out. Is it really a market for you? Yeah. Is that the work that you're willing to put into it?
Yes, and that's the thing that young people have to understand, that, you know, I know you and I grew up with this. I mean, I grew up in Midwest. I mean, farmers. I wasn't a farmer, but it's still that mentality is we work very, very hard. And in fact, we love to work. Not only do we work hard, but we enjoy it. It gives us joy. Makes us feel good. And I see a lot of younger people, coming out of high school, college, and they're thinking that people are just going to give them something, or if they just do this little, they just make themselves available, it's just going to come. And it's not. It's still down to, having a goal and hard work and going towards the goal.
Exactly. And I do attend a lot of workshops, and I was just one on Saturday, a couple of days ago. And it was interesting because the guy that was doing this is a financial literacy workshop. I always like to learn. And from him, he manages businesses, and his company manages billions of dollars, right? So his mind is different. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about a person that's selling a business and wants to invest 20 million. So we're talking definitely higher, more than a high school student, but he gave those examples. Mm-hmm. But he walked the students through a process of, after they graduate from college, they're going to be making this amount of money. This is your expenses. Because a lot of kids, they want to get away from the parents, let's face it.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so what he showed was that if you're able to be there and save a down payment for the house, so this will be like maybe a 2-year venture, 3 maximum. If you're able to stay there and save that in 2 years, you would be, and this is very doable, because this kid was going to be based on what he is doing, he could be making $50,000 a year, which is doable, right? It's there. So we're not talking, 200,000. So with that amount, 50,000, stay home, save a down payment for a house, buy the house, get a roommate or an apartment or a condo, get a roommate, and have that roommate pay half the rent, or, pretty much half your mortgage.
Yes.
And it could be, right? It's about making it. It's about setting what you want. And I know the freedom is probably something they want, or buy that brand new car, which, and this is my favorite thing to share with them, the minute you buy a brand new car, you step off the lot, you've already lost 20%.
Yes.
So why not buy something that's a couple of years older, still under warranty, but you had somebody else pay that 20%, right?
Yeah.
You're getting a much better deal. Your payment is smaller. You can pay it off faster. Mm-hmm. Again, and once you have the house, right, and once you have somebody helping you, then you can start thinking about doing other investments. But making it real, like you said, what can we do based on where you are, based on how hard you're willing to work? And it's not about being miserable. It's not about not having any fun. It's about having a purpose. It's about, okay, I want to buy a house, so I'm going to need this much money. Yeah. So that means, and I like the word choose. So I choose to deposit this much money into my possibility account versus going out to dinner or going out to the movies or going out drinking, whatever that other activity. It's not that I'm never going to do it. Yes. It's just that there's going to be times where I choose to put it into the possibility account versus going out and doing.
So tell me about the possibility account.
And also, just back it up, because I think choosing has so much power versus I have to or I need to, right? It feels good because I am in control. I am choosing to do it. So the possibility account for me is, so you have your money, you divide your money into 3 buckets, 3 accounts, 3 envelopes. I know I'm dating myself when I say envelopes, but one of them is to pay your needs, your rent, your phone, your insurance. Mm-hmm. The other one is your fun bucket. What are you choosing, how you choose? But the possibility account, this is where you put the money in there, and it could be for money to replace your tires. It could be to save a down payment for your house. It could be you want to have 3 months of your monthly obligations. It could be a vacation, right? It's a possibility bucket. Anything is possible. And the one thing that I hear from my clients is that when they begin to build the possibility account, and when you begin to see that grow, something happens within you that it makes it a lot easier to say no to some of the shiny objects.
Yes, because then you have more money to put in your possibility bucket.
Right. And you see it grow, right? And that in itself is an incentive. And I think that's part of what the wealthy do, right? For them to see this account begin to grow. And we're all going to be at different stages, right? So for somebody, having $1,200 in there is going to be enough. You know, having $2,500, it doesn't matter. But the minute you begin to see that grow, right? It could be some for an investment, the vacation. If you take vacation, for instance, especially, unfortunately, the United States, we love that credit. But what if you prepaid your vacation? What if we went to the old-fashioned layaway plans, right? Where you pay, and it's not until you paid it off that you get to pick up the item.
Yes, yes.
We move more towards that versus that instant gratification, right? Where we can order something from, you know, one of those stores and we can get it within a few days. What if we begin to prepay, right? Just imagine if you prepaid, even, let's say, even if you prepay and you get to overspend a little bit of that, that's still a huge difference besides having to pay for that vacation you already took for the next 8 months.
Right. You still have an application of something you already enjoyed, so it's not as fun to have to pay for that after that. Where
the way you're going to think about money when you're spending it that way is going to be different, right? Because you build it up, right? And whatever that may be. But the other common situation is paying off debt. What if we talk about paying off debt, right?
Okay.
So either for, you know, you or somebody you may know, if you're paying off debt, you have to stop using the credit cards. Personally, let's say that you have 5 credit cards. You take the smallest balance that you have. And what can you do? Can you sell something? Especially now, it is so easy for us to sell things.
Yeah.
Can you look through your closet and see what you can sell? Can you have a garage sale somewhere? Can you take up a small side hustle for a little bit, right? Can you walk dogs? Can you, whatever, can you deliver food? Can you do that enough to pay off that credit card, that first one? So now you've gone from 5 credit cards to 4 credit cards, right?
Yeah.
But something happens when that, just the fact that you have 5 and it seems endless to now having 4, right? And then you do the same for the next one, because now you got rid of the 5th one, you have that additional money that you've been paying. And I'm not saying keep up the jobs, or I'm not saying that, but now you have that additional payment that you can start applying to the credit card number 4.
So it goes faster. The longer you go with it, it goes faster and faster.
Exactly. But the having to do, maybe, like I said, the side hustle, maybe selling something, whatever that may be, a part-time job somewhere during the holidays, having that help you to get to release and let go of the first one, and then you work on the 4th one.
Yes.
And that's when the magic begins, because now you can see it's going to be much easier, and it's achievable and it's doable.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Because you're not having to do it for years and years and years. It's just a very short. So that's the other thing. It's just again, having the goal and sticking to it, and then, getting it to the way you feel comfortable, right? And then you start to begin, because when you do that, your mind begins to think of different possible ways for you to be able to, and of course, have a conversation as to why you got yourself in that situation to begin with. Whole different conversation. But people are able to do that between that and how much interest you're paying to the credit card companies. You're contributing to making them rich.
Yeah. So how should a person set their money goals? Because I know people, like you talked about, the person who wanted to spend everything and enjoy it, the person that wanted to save it. Somewhere each person has to find their money personality, if you will, and figure out how do I set my money goals? Is there certain percentages I should put towards things, or how do I do that?
For one, two things, two-step process. One, find what that money conversation is for you, right? Really think about, what was that conversation you heard as a child? And how did that come? So for instance, like, we don't have enough. Perfect example that I gave. How did that conversation affect what you do today, right? Mm-hmm. So the two examples that we gave, they're perfect, right? Because one, they didn't want to allow themselves to feel the lack. Yes. So they shop.
Yes.
But the other person didn't want to be in the point. She wanted to save, because they didn't want to feel the lack. So right. Acknowledging that is the lack that you're wanting to avoid. I'm a huge letter writer, right? Uh-huh. So write a letter and burn it, but understand, connect the dots. What was the conversation and how did that affect for you today? Yeah. So acknowledge it, because until you acknowledge it, it's not going to go away. Mm-hmm. And then find out, let's say that it's, $5,000 you want to pay off, right? That's a credit card, or even save, same difference, right? Is it realistic? Is your income that you come in bringing in, and is it going to be possible for you to, or are you setting yourself up to succeed? Mm-hmm. Right? So a lot of people say the 5%, the 10%, the whatever percent. Let's say that you just want to start saving. I say start saving $20 a month, $25 a month. Mm-hmm. Get into the habit of doing that and being consistent, right? Because consistency is going to be doing those steps. And then you do that for a couple of months, and then can you double it?
Okay.
Right? So start where you are now, it's $10 a month. So for me, it's about getting started, being consistent with it, and then making it into a game. Can you put yourself in a situation where you're able to save just a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So just make it into the game and give yourself those goals. And the minute you become to do that, I can tell you that people are going to get tested. So the minute you said, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And I'm not saying this, I'm saying this because this is what has happened. You're going to get a flat tire.
Yes.
You're going to get a ticket. You're going to get a lot of different ways thrown in your way to test you, to see if you're going to stick to your plan, or you're going to allow these things, these hurdles, to take you away from that.
Right. So that money you're saving, is that the possibility? So if, let's say that you did have an accident or you needed tires for your car, that account could take stress off you by having that money available, where if someone is going paycheck to paycheck, that's really stressful when one of those surprises arrives. But if someone has that possibility, then they can actually use it for that, but then they have to kind of start over. Right? Sure.
Well, it's not over. But what a feeling, though. That's a very good point. What a feeling to know that you're borrowing from yourself.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's so stress relieving just thinking about that, because I have 3 20-year-olds. And so, at 20, some of them are billionaires, but mine are. They're just doing their jobs. They're just starting out in their, careers, their jobs. And something like that can be a huge stressor if there's no money saved aside.
And also, just the feeling of that comfort that money is sitting there, mm-hmm. Right? It's waiting for you. And not that we want emergencies, because I don't believe in emergencies. Yeah. But again, because we're doing it for a vacation, right? You want to go there for a vacation, so we're doing it. So you're building it up for a vacation, and you get a ticket or you get a flat tire. You're having to borrow, but you're borrowing from yourself. Yeah. You're not putting it on the credit card and paying interest. You're not going to mom. right? You're borrowing it from yourself, and there's such a huge satisfaction when you know that money. So that alone really is an incentive for most people to continue to build up that possibility account.
Yes, yes. That is so awesome. You said something to me a while back, and whenever I'm feeling stressed in that money area, because sometimes things come all at once, just everything, and you think, can one more thing come? and you told me something that has stuck with me, and I use it, and it's, I have plenty of money today. And I just tell myself that no matter what's happening, I have plenty of money today.
What do you think that, and this is phenomenal, why do you think that works?
It's, I don't know. I just feel better when I say it.
I believe because we're not concentrated, right? So we're putting it out, and it's almost putting a message out to the universe, right? And we, again, because the story that we keep running in our head is what's going to come true.
Yes. So if we're thinking about lack, then
we're gonna
lack
get lack.
is coming.
Right. So it's about changing, and that's why I think it's shifting. So shifting the conversation, shifting the money conversation, actually talk about shifting money conversation. So it's what money relationship, what is your money? We talked about the money story, but what is that? How do you treat money to me, right? So I was in somebody's car, and she was giving me a ride. We were at an event, and she was giving me a ride, and I got in the car. It was full of everything, which it's okay. People, I'm not judging, but the interesting thing is there was money all over. There was coins, on the dashboard. There was coins on the seat. There was coins on the floor. There was dollar bills all over the place. So if you put yourself in that situation, and we're treating money in a relationship, if it's all over the floor, if we had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever the case may be, and we treated them and we just put them up, will they stick around?
You have to sit on the floor.
Well, not only that, but we're throwing it all over the place. We're not showing respect.
Right. Yes.
Right? And so what's that how are you treating? And also one of my favorites is like, I make good money, but I can never keep it. Okay, well, if you keep saying that, right, it's not going to change. It's how are you talking about money? Or money comes in and money goes out. Oh, okay. So shift the story, shift how you're talking to money, right? Because sometimes this is the other thing. When people go, like my paycheck to paycheck client, when they go to pay bills, how do you think they feel about making that payment?
Yeah. Well, it depends on what it is, but some bills you really don't feel like paying. I think very few people like paying their taxes. When you think about that tax bill at the end of the year, you think, oh,
Perfect.
But, if I'm going to buy a purse or a pair of shoes I like, I don't mind. Here's my credit card. But then when it comes to like something like, oh, taxes, it's like, oh, it's a totally different feeling.
What if those were the same feeling? What if you were in the position and you were grateful and thankful that you have the ability to pay those taxes?
Yes, that's a whole different shift.
Right? It's about, and a lot of people feel like, I have to pay insurance. Although have to. So I have to pay the phone bill. I have to pay this. I have to pay that. No. What if I am so grateful and thankful I have the funds to pay this?
Yes.
Right? It shifts.
It does.
And you feel better, and your energy feels better. And when your energy feels better, then you're going to be able to attract more of that feeling, that emotion. Mm-hmm. It's awesome, right? It only does. So the wealthy don't talk about, I have to pay this, right? Obviously, they have the money. Yeah. But the reason they don't think about it is because they know they're going to be taken care of.
Right. They don't have to think about it. It's just going to happen.
Right.
It's just going to happen. So how does a person create their own money story or their own conversation with money? Or how do we create a happy, close relationship with money?
Exactly. How do we create a good relationship with money?
Yes.
By beginning to pay attention for about 7 days. Keep track of what you're saying to yourself about money. Right? And how do you feel about people that have money? What are some of the emotions? So become aware of how you're feeling about people that have money. And what can you do differently? So I recently witnessed somebody that did a workshop. He's been doing it for 30 years. And on this one particular workshop in one day, based on the number of people that signed up for the workshop, he made pretty close to $1 million. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was delighted because I was like, you know, I truly say this from the bottom of my heart, because I was like, oh, he's showing me the way. Because if he can do it, right? I wasn't jealous that he was doing it. I was like, so how, you know, I mean, normally jealousy is the one that comes up. But I was like, oh, he's showing me how to do it, right? Yeah. He's guiding. And he doesn't, this is not what he does, but he happens to be in my field. You know, he does meditations, you know, which is what I do. He's in the energy realm, if you will. So to see somebody that's able to achieve that, I was like, oh my goodness, showing me the possibility, showing me that is possible, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, hang out, even if you don't know the person, hang out and see what they're doing, right? Whether it's in your field or not. What are people doing to make the kind of money that you want to make? And how can you get there?
Yes. And these days, so many people are on the internet, you can actually watch them as they're doing it.
Absolutely. So, but it's about, how are you feeling? Are you saying he's so lucky, they're so lucky, she's so lucky, right? Are you saying that it's luck? Or are you not looking at all the work that they need put behind the scenes in order to make that happen?
Yes. And it's almost always that way.
Right. I'm saying he's showing me the way. And I know that it took a lot of work, but I am willing to do the work.
Yes.
Right? But it's showing you the possibilities. And so pay attention for 7 days. Pay attention to your reaction. So if a nice car drives by, what are you saying? Are you going into judgment? You know, are you thinking, oh, this, you know, I don't know, how did they do? Or are you thinking, I wonder how they did that? I wonder what kind of business they're in.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I usually do. I usually wonder what kind of business they're in.
Right? But it's a different conversation than we're like, oh, they're so lucky. No, they put in the work. I mean, I'm not saying they could have been lucky. Maybe they have wealthy parents, wealthy grandparents. We're not going to discount that. But it doesn't matter. It's about how you are reacting to it.
Exactly. Yes. And you said something about, you know, meditation, your spiritual journey. Do you have certain practices like morning routines or practices or things that you do to get your mind in the right place?
Yes. So this is in my meditations, you know, at the beginning, they were not easy to do. I'm not going to lie. Right. But I've been doing this for 17 years. So yes, morning meditations are crucial for me. My day is not the same if I don't get started with a meditation. So for your people watching this, your listeners, if you're not in a meditation practice, and I know people talk about this all the time, I mentioned my 2 sons. I believe meditation comes in many different forms. So for me now at this point in time, yes, I get my mind to quiet. But people, I believe, do meditations even though they may not know they're doing meditations.
Oh, how so?
So I'll use my sons as an example because they don't mind. No, actually, because they don't know. No, but for them, they enjoy going to the gym and working out. So I asked them, when you're at the gym and when your mind and your body are in that zone where whatever whatever you happen to be, when you're one with your mind and your body, I believe that's meditation.
Ah, yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody that likes to garden, right? You're in there. Meditation to me is any time you lose track of time. Like you could be doing this exercise, this thing, this task, and you enjoy it. For my artists, painting, they get into that zone. So it's getting into that where your mind and your heart and your soul come together as one. For me, I do meditation traditional, but for me, baking. And people have told me this. They have to, because they see me, have people over, happen to be baking or taking something. And I used to do some cooking lessons. So I did some baking. So people have told me that when I get into the baking, I become a different person.
Oh, that's interesting.
They can see the shift. I'm me, but I'm so in the zone, and there's so much joy for me when I bake, right? So for me, that's a meditation, right? So I invite you listeners to think about that activity that they enjoy doing it, and then maybe doing more of it. And then when you work up to where you were able to maybe do a guided meditation thereafter, right? We all started different, we're all on a different journey, but get started on something. I also like to think of that as a treat to yourself. Right? So it's not, I have to do meditation. No, but if you think of that as maybe it's a massage, maybe it's a manicure, pedicure, maybe it's a drive to the beach, but I think of it as a treat to myself.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So it could be different things, but treating yourself to something a couple of days a week is a good starting point.
Yes.
Right? Because then the more you get that, let's face it, it's a high, folks. Because once you get to this level, it's a high, and look forward to that high. So for me, challenge myself. And right now, I started a particular meditation on the 25th of last month. And so I'll stick to it for 30 days. And then afterwards, I may choose to continue, but I also may choose to do something else. So even at this point, for me, I challenge myself to do something different.
Yeah. So when you're doing the meditation, is it all about you and feeling deserving of love and joy? Or is it about money in particular? Or what is the purpose of that besides that you're treating yourself well? So where's the connection?
The connection for me at this point is being open to receiving, because I believe that as women, that's the one thing. So it's never about money for me, but it's about being open to receiving in abundance, and whatever that may look like, right? Yeah. And for me right now, I'm working on a big project. So I ask for guidance for me be able to see and recognize and have the people show up in my life that are going to help me with this project.
Yes, and that's right. More abundance than money can be a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just support and love and help in areas where, maybe that's not your field, and someone else can come in and bring their expertise. And
correct. Right. And I'm not a techie. I'm not going to claim what I mean. So if somebody came into my life that's a techie, that's what I need at this point in time. So for me, it's about being open and also about being of service. You know what I mean? Show me, guide me, so that I'm able to see, that person that I'm able to help. Because you never know where that person is going to take you to what I mean? It's about really just being open to receiving without judgment, without expectations.
Yes. So you are receiving, and then I know for you it's very important to empower other people and to, uplift other people. How does that all play into your life? And
I get myself out of the way. So I do. And there's a lot of people that come into your life for a reason, right? So it could be somebody at the grocery store, and then I struck up a conversation. I am really good about, when we go to the grocery stores or whatever, and the ladies or men, the clerks that wear a name tag, to me, is taking that 30 seconds and acknowledging them.
Yes.
Hey, Jim, how's your day going?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that, it warms them, right? Even if it's busy, or I'll say, what kind of day you're having today? Are you at the beginning of your shift? You know what I mean? Just doing, just taking the time, maybe opening up a door for somebody, asking somebody, although it's interesting because I've seen a couple of homeless people, and I said, listen, I'm going to go in. Is there something I can get you? Right? Or I'm just coming out and I just bought like 5 pounds of tangerines, oranges, safe food. Like, I don't know, I don't know how I would put poison, but I said, I offer them, and sometimes they take it and sometimes they don't. But it's about being of service, right? It's about looking for opportunities of where you can help and how you can help, right? And not taking it personal. Because if they say no, like the person who's like, no, it's okay. I mean, I offered and they said no. But also how this could also turn into, if you're an entrepreneur and you're offering your product or your service to somebody and they say no, it's not personal. The timing is off. But it's practice, because if you begin to do it and then when somebody says no, but the timing is off, right? We're both on the freeway and we're just on separate lanes. And I'm going at 60 and they're going at 35. We're just on different paths. Right?
That makes sense. Yeah. I've heard people say that no means just not now.
Just not now. And
just not now.
The timing is off. Right? This may not be the product or service that they need at this time. But what if they know somebody that they could use it? Right? So no is like no for that person, but could you keep in mind, could you think of somebody that might be able to beneficial, send them my way? I mean, but it's a practice. It's a practice, and it just be open to receiving, which I got to say, as women, I don't think we're all that good about it, but I'm getting better. We're getting better.
Yes, we're getting better. We're getting better. So I'm going to change gears a little bit. So what is it that gives you the most happiness and joy in your life at this point in your life?
I mentioned that I do a lot of workshops, and when I go in and I do the workshops, and when I see the audience, you can physically see the light, right? Because they get this glow when they get it. They just get it. They can see, I can see how I can apply that in my life today, right? Oh, I just gave myself chills. It works.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't know what I said. And, it doesn't matter what I said, but the fact that they get it, because it's not just about them, all right? Because at all my workshops, I say, now that you know, and now that you have these tools, create your support system and go out and teach this to 2 or 3 people so that collectively we're making a difference.
Yes. All those ripples.
Well, and also to accountability, right? Because if you teach somebody else that, and you become your own accountability mastermind group. I like accountability.
I do,
because now you keep helping each other reach those goals. Because if it's just you have the best of intentions and you want to get it done. But if you don't have that support, you may or may not, right, get it done. But having that accountability, to me, is huge.
Yes, I love accountability, because to me, accountability means no one is left behind. No one is left behind. We're all accountable, just like people in the military, no man left behind. And when I think of accountability, that's what I think about.
I like that. Writing that down.
Yes. So no one left behind.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it does. It empowers and uplifts everybody. And I like that. I may have to use that on my next talk.
Okay, you can have it. Go for it.
Because that's good. It is, right? It's about helping in building that support system. And we all have different goals, right? But what's important is that we're there to support each other so that we can achieve them.
Yes.
So they don't all have to be financial goals. They could be health goals. They could be homework goals. They could be whatever, we all at a different stage. It's just about having somebody there to support you when you're having a low day. But most importantly, there to encourage you and to share the wins.
Yes. And that's the fun
Right?
part, the celebration.
The celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't celebrate enough, in my opinion, but
Yes. Yes. If we just
the
celebrate
celebrations.
little things, like paying off that first credit card. It's exciting.
Or having that first $500 in your possibility account.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Celebrate. Now, when I say celebrate and you have $500 in your account, that does not mean you go out and spend $250. It just means that you do. And so one the bonus tip here is you are shooting to achieve certain goals. When you achieve a milestone, it would be fabulous if you had a list of 5 things that you will do for yourself to celebrate.
Yes.
It comes with that accountability support, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be a drive to the mountains, a drive to the beach. Mm-hmm. It could be a nice bottle of wine. It could be you treat yourself to a nice lunch. You go to the grocery and you buy something that you've been wanting to get. You know what I mean? It's a little bit on the higher price. You do a manicure, pedicure, you do a massage. Everybody's going to be different.
Right. Yeah.
But you got to start sending those messages to your brain and to your body. And that's going to help you to stay on track of that.
Yes. That's a great way to stay in that positive money.
Yeah, you just stay on track.
Abundance and loving yourself. And
huge. It's making yourself first. Mm-hmm. And in just having that list, to me, is truly, it doesn't matter what you have on that list. You know, it could be reading a book. For me, it's watching a movie, because that's not something I do very often. Mm-hmm. Right? So everybody's going to be different. Some of it may take up. You may need to spend a little money, but some of them don't. Yeah. So everybody's going to be different.
That sounds awesome. So I know over all these years, you've helped so many people with abundance, with finances, even with their personal conversations, about themselves, about, deservedness, about receiving. What are you offering to people now? I know you do your workshops, so maybe you can talk a little bit about those. I know that you work with people one-on-one and have some different coaching packages. So can you just tell us what you have available?
We will start with the no cost ones. They can check out my page, Transcend Abundance, on Facebook. I have 13 videos there with different tips on different subjects, creating a morning routine, ways to save money. So Transcend Abundance on Facebook, it's a good resource. There's a webinar, 38-minute webinar, the 3 common mistakes women make that prevent them from earning and keeping the money they desire. So Transcend Abundance, check out the page. Leave questions if there's a subject you want me to cover. I'm about to do some more videos. I want that to be a resource for people to be able to go in there and find, because you never know, it could be one video that helps you shift. Yeah. And I'm about to do some more videos. So definitely check out the page, no cost. Leave your questions. I'll be happy to address any subjects you want me to cover. I cover credit cards, credit scores, Rule of 72, right? So there's tons of stuff in there. And then check out my website, ChellaDiaz.com. And that is for my one-on-one coaching. I am a very laser focused coach. Most of my clients are with me for 4 sessions. Okay. I want to give you the tools that you need and let's move on. I want to teach you to fish. So I want you to go out and do the things that you need to do. I don't want to be, I don't want us to be tied together for, 6 months. It cannot take 6 months. Sometimes it takes about 2 months because people's schedules may not, but 4 sessions is truly all it takes to get you shifting and get you going to achieve all the things you want to do with more joy. That's the most important thing. More joy in your life. With more joy. And it's evident that you are joyful and and happy and excited about life. And it's just so attractive. And yeah. It's been fun. It's been a fun ride. We've been to a lot of shifts and a lot of changes in the last few years. And even how you and I reconnected at the perfect time. Yes. Yes. It always is the perfect time.
I love
It's
that.
magic. It's magic.
So, well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for all your wisdom and for what you're doing to just, help everyone to be more receivers and more abundant.
Yeah. It's been my pleasure, and I wish you tons and tons of joy for you and your listeners. And reach out, folks. Reach out. I am here to serve. Facebook is the best way if you do the Transcend Abundance, but you never know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, and have a phenomenal day.